Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So after a dreadful choppy stream, I hopefully have sorted out issue with my audio and video being lagging and everything else until I sort out myself with a new laptop, hopefully in a month or so, because I can't quite afford one right now. We're gonna try our best. I changed up the softwares and I hope the video comes out just fine, but today's theme is going to be the Act 7, and I cannot give like a full guide for each quest by any means because I only have done initial paths, but obviously I did take the paths that I found to be easier. I will upload proper guides once I have 100%ed all of the event quest, but for now I can still recommend you people what I personally chose to complete, which lanes did I go with, what did I use for those lanes, and how did I deal with the bosses, because ultimately I did end up finishing the entire chapter without using a single item, only dying a couple of times due to my own messiness, if you will, or when I was trying to fool around. So I think I picked relatively easy lanes and decent strategies, and I will be trying to help you do the same basically. So in this first quest I did decide to go with Flare and Colorblind, because Colorblind is a node where if you go in prepared for it, it's non-existent, so you only have to deal with Flare. And Flare is actually helpful for certain characters, and in this case it definitely beefed up my Corvus's attack. And Corvus was an absolute beast for this lane, so was Black Widow Clairvoyant, because her heal on the level 2 is quite insane. So those two champions are pretty much the only ones that I used for this lane. I used Black Widow Clairvoyant for anything that didn't give a Corvus mission, more or less, and that was thereabouts it. So Black Widow Clairvoyant for Ronin, I used Corvus against Storm, and you can get some ridiculous numbers out of Corvus on Flare, obviously with that attack increase, plus my Corvus is a 6-star. And here is also the thing that I will mention. I didn't use any boost or any items or anything in this run. So if you do play this with a 5-star Corvus, then if you boost up, you should achieve relatively similar results, even though it's obviously benefiting in this quest to bring in 6 stars. So yes, I didn't actually run out of charges in any single fight where I used Corvus as a 6-star rank 3 without boosts, without power boosts. So yeah, I did deal with Storm first, then we had Immortal Iron Fist, a very easy fight. Red Guardian, no problem at all. Gwenpool, easy peasy. We have Ultron, another mission for Corvus, very quick fight. And then I don't think I changed out anything. And then we have this Yondu with Super Masochism, Feats of Power, Rich Get Richer, and Foresight. And Foresight is insanely useful node for Corvus because you get the 200% attack. 1 second, I will disable my camera here. So basically whenever you perform the dash intercept, you gain 200% attack, and Corvus with that just dealt insane amounts of damage, and yeah, Yondu went down extremely quickly just using Corvus. The main idea is you do not want to debuff. You want to avoid masochism completely, because this is not just regular masochism that would heal him up, but you would also get inflicted with the same type of debuff that you're trying to inflict on Yondu, including stun, so that would be quite dicey. So just rely on intercept in this one, and it's a very, very easy, straightforward fight. Nothing much to add. Blitz through it like it was absolutely nothing, and I believe you can do the same. Now, next up, we have quest number 2, and I did in fact choose the Green Goblin boss, which went down with Corvus as well, but in here I went for the special delivery Cosmic Avalanche Mixmaster node, which actually worked perfect with Corvus again. So Corvus was the MVP for the first 2 quests, especially considering that Mixmaster, I brought in Proxima with my Corvus. So in the first fight, obviously after the first evade, I just knocked down that Red Skull, got my first mission, increased my damage output, and Red Skull, Corvus's class advantage, you finish him off, you get second mission because he's a tech champion. Black Panther, third mission, very easy. And then you have Dr. Octopus, no problem. Silver Surfer, Guillotine 2099, can be a bit tricky, but didn't really pose too much trouble. Emma Frost, you actually get all 4 missions for Corvus here, because you deal with Tech, Avenger, Evade, and a Mutant champion. And for the final fight, where you have this red lining, where basically you would get power drained if you push too much past 2 bars of power, but you get significant power increase from 1 to 2 bars, and you never fall below 1 bar after your initial level 2 because of power reserve, so both of your special attacks basically cost 50% less power. And then you have cramping, well, under effects of weakness debuff, 10% of the attacker's power is drained every second. That didn't really come into play here at all. Was a very simple fight with Corvus. Again, no boost, nothing else was necessary for a 6-star rank 3 Corvus on Suicide Masteries with 4 missions to finish out this fight. And yeah, very easy start of the quest, and at that point I was definitely still flying through. And again, I'm not 100% sure which are the easiest path. These are the paths that I took, and I did find them to be plenty easy because it didn't require any item use at all, and they were finished quite quickly as well. So for quest number 3, I chose to went with Special Connoisseur, and the reason for that is this Mutant Mastery, where every time you inflict a debuff, you have a chance to gain a prowess buff. And then I was just basically smashing everything with Colossus, because you parry, and then you get those prowess buffs, and Colossus with Omega Red, Emma Frost just destroyed pretty much the entire quest. Now, only fight there that could be tricky is Black Panther Civil War, obviously, because you do not quite want to parry it. So I did bring in Annihilus, and sorry, not Annihilus, the new guy, Apocalypse. And Black Panther Civil War cannot shrug off Apocalypse's parries, and even though the fight did take some while, it was a very, very simple fight. And then again, the rest of the fights, She-Hulk. For Thor Ragnarok, I actually used Magneto. Again, dead simple fight. You can probably use just whoever you want. Thor, Jane Foster, Venom Pool, super easy. And for the final boss, just because he had that buffet node, but he also has Foresight. So anyways, I just brought in Warlock. I swapped out a member of my team, took Warlock, and with Foresight, if you do rely on intercepts, which you are encouraged to do because of the defective defense node, because every time you parry you get a disorient debuff. So basically, yeah, I just brought in Warlock. He was consistently under infection. Every time buffet would trigger, he lost some power. I just dashed back intercept, got the attack boost from Foresight once again, and it was a very quick finish with Warlock in this quest, and we could move on. Honestly, it was very, very simple till now. Now, next up, a couple of quests do get slightly trickier. It might be because of the lanes I chose or whichever, but in this case, we also had actually quite good time. So I chose to go with this path that has Gladiator Hulk. The path basically has... sorry, there are link nodes. That's the most important thing. Colorblind, once again, you just have to bring in champions from 5 different classes, and you will want to do that anyways, because each of these fights give kind of like extra damage to one of your classes. And basically, if you're going up against science champions, then you're going to see that the node there is Skill Wrath. Then if you go up against the Mutant, then you're going to have Tech Wrath. If you go up against Skill, you're going to have Mutant Wrath. And the way I did it, so basically, obviously, because there are 6 fights on the way to the boss, and I picked 5 classes. The one class that I didn't pick was Mystic, because I had Cosmic Ghost Rider, and Cosmic Ghost Rider can deal with the champion boss extremely easily because you have access to Fate Seal. So I basically used Cosmic Ghost Rider for the final 2 fights. And yeah, it was a very, very quick path, again, due to extra attack that you gain for each class. And yeah, so brought in Nick Fury, Warlock for Tech. I think Namor was for Mutant. I made a mistake here. I brought in Quake for Science against Mystic, but I did forget about the Brute Force node, and it was a very interesting fight, but we still did manage to solo that Thor Jane Foster despite the Brute Force. And then Cosmic Ghost Rider for the final 2 here, and then we had Rust and Ruin, Lazarus, and I noticed Heavy Assault on this Hela, and obviously Hela is bleed and poison immune, so I just picked Archangel for the final boss, bypassed Lazarus, didn't have to try and bother killing her 5 times because of neurotoxins, and again just squeezed through extremely quickly. Very simple boss, not much to complain here at all. And now we can move on to the next quest, and these quests do get a bit dicier. They have those mixed champions here, and I don't know if I picked the right lane here, but I went with Life Cycle, Technical Suppression and Hurt Locker, Indomitable node, and basically Warlock shatters this. And the reason he does so is because his infection is active. You knock down the opponent, and opponents do try to heal with the life cycle node, but then they take the degen damage from Warlock, so they immediately die. You don't have to play around life cycle. Basically, when opponents are at 1% health, you just want to knock them down. Life cycle will try to trigger. If you have infection active, they go down. Very simple as that. And Warlock is pretty much fine for most of the matchups here. Ultron, no problem really. Old Man Logan, Guillotine, why not? Sabertooth, Guillotine 2099 could be annoying. You might want to bring a counter for that. I don't know, perhaps Human Torch, and have easy time there as well with Human Torch, obviously. And the final boss. The final boss was a bit trickier. So the main node that he has here is that Arrogance. Basically, you're going to get a falter on you every 10 hits on your combo meter. So if you do not bring in a miss counter, but also keep in mind that you're getting the electro damage back because this is the electro Luke. So it's kind of like Luke Cage with electro special attacks and electrostatic shock ability, or however it's called. And on every 10th hit, you're gonna falter, but the 10th hit will connect. That falter triggers after the 10th hit. That's very important information there. And I basically just got him down with Namor. I did mess up at the very end, but Namor worked out fantastic because you do get to reflect the Electro's damage back at Luke Cage, and it's just playing around that Arrogance node, counting your combos, and that is just about it. Another very superb, easy option would be Quake, because obviously Quake doesn't make any contact. You don't have to worry about faltering, you don't have to worry about literally any of the nodes, and you can just Quake the guy down. Namor was in this case my go-to option. Or in addition to all of that, you can also use Omega Red tentacle attacks. You can use now Gambit, who can bypass this static shock back abilities. You can use Falcon with his lock on, and I suppose Netflix Daredevil, who doesn't take damage back from this guy as well. So basically, you just need to deal realistically with the Electro's damage back mechanic here. And other than that, keep an eye on those falters. I'm sure there are more decent options that I mentioned. But yeah, Quake and Namor seem to be like the two best go-to champions here from the top of my head. And other than that, it wasn't too tricky. And yeah. So we can move on to the final quest, and the final quest wasn't too bad either. We got through quite quickly, and I kind of cheesed it a bit. And the setup that I was running here, because of the clapback node, well, first of all, Eat Crow is kind of nice for Science Champions as well. You can gain some Furies whenever Buffet would try to trigger, and you prevent it with Eat Crow, and there is a Buffet node. But Science Champions can basically just kind of ignore it. And yeah, I just used Human Torch, and the reason for Human Torch here was the clapback. So every time I put an Incinerate to the opponent, clapback node tries to apply an Incinerate back at Human Torch, but every time that happens, you get a Smolder charge. So Human Torch was an absolute tank for this lane. He nuked down pretty much every single opponent. I think I used Black Widow Clairvoyant for Scarlet Witch, only because of the off chance if I would get poisoned. So I put Black Widow Clairvoyant in the poison curse, and I just kept the entire fight there. And obviously, since I placed poisons on Black Widow Clairvoyant, even if she does trigger the Buffet node, poisons and Despair Mastery mitigated the healing, and we just got through just fine. The one tricky fight on this would be Dr. Doom, and Human Torch obviously is capable of dealing with Dr. Doom, but it would be a bit tricky fight. If you get shocked, you could get in spicy waters. So I ended up just Quaking, because I just had Quake with me for why not reasons. And the final boss here was Spider-Gwen on Backblast, Staggering Beauty, Special Chaos Inversion, Power Build-Up, Power Overflow. Now, Power Build-Up and Power Overflow are nothing really to worry about by themselves, because I just give them promises. If you avoid special attacks, it's all perfectly fine. Special Chaos Inversion is the one tricky thing in this fight, where you need to remember to dash backwards. But the timing of this champion's special attacks is relatively similar to Emma, so it didn't feel completely foreign to my fingers. And the champion here is Mystic class Spider-Gwen with Scarlet Witch's abilities. And what I did in this fight is I brought in Human Torch. Now, admittedly, I did mess up somewhere halfway, but you can definitely get a relatively easy solo with Human Torch because she is a Mystic Champion. Every time you will take a block on or blocked hit or whatever, you will gain that Smolder, and then you just need to evade the level 1s in a proper manner. Strike her only while she is under stun effect, so do your like medium light, or medium light, medium, whatever. And yeah, you can definitely get her down with Human Torch. You don't have to worry about Backblast as well, because Human Torch is obviously immune. Or alternatively, I finished the fight off with Quake. Other than that, you definitely also can use Ghost. Ghost would be absolutely fantastic for this matchup, because if Backblast triggers on Ghost, then you gain extra Furies. And yeah, you prevent that away from Spider-Gwen. So yeah, I think plenty of decent options there, and that was it. That was it for the final completion of 7.1. As I said, I cannot guarantee that these are in fact the easiest paths, because I have not explored it in its entirety. So I will upload like 100% proper easy path guide, as well as a guide for each individual quest and for each path and each boss. So those will be coming out in upcoming week. Now, unfortunately, tomorrow I will not get any time to make any videos because I'm back at work, kind of like last minute call there. But I will be back to streaming first quest or maybe first couple of quests tomorrow afternoon, so stay tuned for that. But other than that, I hope you guys find this video useful. If you do, please do hit that like button, please hit that sub button, and most importantly, forward the video to your teammates, to your alliance mates, because they could also potentially benefit from it. That being said, I'm gonna catch you guys next time. See ya.